You want answers?
I think I'm entitled.
You want answers?
I want the truth!
You can't handle the truth!
Hey, ladies and gentlemen, welcome in to the second episode tonight. Don't forget, ladies and gentlemen, share this out everywhere you can. Don't forget to also, as I put it in here, for those that are looking and want to help in some shape, some form, Pat King Appeal Fund at gmail.com. All right. So once again, we're just going to get down to a carry on moving forward with our guest, Chad Eros, and tonight's special guest, we have Chris Freedom, or otherwise known as Chris Garrah, who is from the Adopt the Trucker in Ottawa. And we're going to bring in Chris Garrah right away and Chad right away. But I wanted to touch on something with you guys before you all think that, okay, Pat, what are you doing this? Let this lie. Leave it alone. Leave them alone. Leave this alone. I wanted to bring something into perspective for you guys. You see, I know what we decided to do back in 2022 was going to be the tell-all, the moment for Canadians, the time there we get to actually stand up for something united under one flag and be able to bring this to everybody in a productive yet positive manner. Unfortunately, other people had some other plans. And can we put the finger on exactly who it was? I don't know yet. But what we're trying to do is bring down the veil that everybody was, okay, this beautiful moment, but what we had to deal with, what we had to experience when we were in Ottawa. And this is my focus on this, is because a lot of people don't understand what happened in the breakdown afterwards. All we know is that when we were in Ottawa, it was great. And then on the 18th, when they started to curb stomp everybody and they started to beat people with rifles and they started to tow vehicles out of the way, it went dark. It went dark for a lot of people. And I still remember when I finally got out of jail 5 months later that everybody was telling me it was so ominous of what people were experiencing afterwards. And I can relate, because sitting those 5 months in jail, not knowing what was going on, it was very dark to know that I didn't know if everybody was all right. Where did the groups go that we collaborated with, that we put together? Where did Chris Garrah go? Where did Chad go? Where did all the people that helped organize this, where did they go? What are they doing? And it's taken a long time for me to get past that, to know that, hey, guess what? There's some things, Pat, that while you were in jail, you didn't know what happened. Hey, Pat, there's some things that you don't know that you're coming down on us about, but we were really in behind the scenes getting targeted, getting bullied, getting attacked, getting threatened, all of the stuff that was going on. I see I just lost Chris, but we'll bring Chad in, and then when Chris comes back, we'll let Chris come in. So welcome to the show, Chad, for part 2. How are you tonight?
I'm good. How are you doing, Pat?
I'm good, man. I'm good. I'm hoping people remember to share this out. Share it to all your platforms if you don't mind, and let's get this out there. Last time we had 2,000 people. I think it's time to get even more in here. So
Yeah.
what's been your take since we did the first episode? How do you feel about it?
Good. I mean, there's things that need to be talked about for sure. Obviously, in the history of Canada, the War Measures Act, quote unquote, or Emergency Act, was only invoked twice, and that was one of the times. So it's important to talk about this stuff and not hide the truth and not hide it out of fear and all that stuff, like people discrediting and stuff. But Pat, your intro is a really good segue into a question I wanted to ask you. And you're gonna maybe believe more in the divine, because my question to you was gonna be, Pat, you went to jail for 5 months, and you were in jail, I believe, and you were in Ontario. And where was your family?
Back in Alberta.
Okay, yeah. So how was that? What was that like on you? My question to you is, you were in jail for 5 months. What was that like for you? And how did you feel? Like, what was it like to be away from your family? What was it like to be in jail? What was going on in your mind?
Well, when I first was arrested, that's a good question. That's a loaded question, Chad. But I'll try and address it as best as I can. When I first got arrested, I thought, okay, mischief, not a problem. 24 hours, I should be out. Shouldn't be a problem. They arrested me on a Friday. Okay, worst thing I got to do is stay until Monday. Not a big deal. I figured I'd be out no time flat. And it wasn't until the judge denied me the first bail, I knew. I was like, oh shit. When you get denied bail for the first time, you have to stay for 30 days, no matter what. It's a minimum 30 days till you can get another bail hearing. So I'm like, oh shit. So it was scramble time. As we scrambled to get people together, I was being basically isolated in the jail at this point. So they had a COVID thing where you had to be separated from all the regular inmates. So they put you in your own cell by yourself, and no access to the outside. And you're basically got to see if you're sick. So I'm stuck in there 24 hours, can't get out, can't get a shower. I think it was 18 days till I first got my first shower. I couldn't use the phone unless it was for lawyers or to find lawyers or to talk to people to get lawyers. And that was only every 3 days. So I was put in isolation. And then when the isolation was done, they wanted me to stick a thing up my nose in order to transfer me. And I refused to put this thing up my nose because, well, that's why we were there. I didn't think I wasn't sick in the first place. I'd already passed their quarantine and I should have been fine. Then they took me, isolated me for another 30 days away from everybody, which at that point, the torture started to kick in. So they were leaving the lights on. They wouldn't turn the lights off for me. So I lost all track of days, all track of time. I couldn't call my family other than the person I was seeing at the time. And my buddy who was handling all my court stuff, who was lining up lawyers for me and was trying to get funds for me. And I didn't call my kids until I think it was May. I didn't talk to my boys at all. And I went in February. One was, it was embarrassing to call my kids. I didn't want them to worry. I knew that people were communicating to them for me. When I was on the phones, I was legit only 20 minutes allowed on a phone every 3 days. And everything that I was dealing with was court stuff. I missed my son's graduation. And that's every father's, duty is to be present at your child's, high school graduation. I missed out on, a birthday. I missed my son's birthday. It was May 9th. So I was still in jail at that time. So I missed his birthday. There's a lot of things that, it wasn't. Mother's Day is when I finally called my mom. I never talked to my mom once. Called her on Mother's Day. What a Mother's Day present to call your mom from jail. I've never missed a Mother's Day in my life, so I made sure to contact her. But the things that happened to me in jail, I didn't want to tell people what was going on either. Isolated for 63 days, put in complete lockdown isolation, then transferred to one wing, which was maximum security. And I was put into maximum security with a double homicide guy. The funny part of that was
that was your cellmate. Your cellmate was someone who was in there for double homicide. Okay.
Yeah. So he was a gangbanger, and the funny part of it is when you get in there, he's obviously got to flex. He's got to show you it's his cell. He's tough, but at the same time, and you want to talk divinity. He got released to go make a phone call one day, and I kind of was like, some time to myself. I don't got to deal with this guy with 1,000-yard stare. And he's paces, right? It's an 8x6 or 8x7 cell, but he's back and forth, right? Pacing all day long. And it's kind of like, it's a caged animal, and you're in there with him. And he went out to make a phone call. And he come back and he said, well, I guess you're okay. I guess I shouldn't have to be worried about you. And I said, oh yeah, why is that? And he said, well, I talked to my mom. And I said, oh, well, that's good. You talked to your mom. So he's like, yeah, my mom told me I have to protect you. I have to make sure nothing happens to you. And I said, what? And he's like, yeah, my mom, I guess, was the one who was down on Kent Street and cooked the pig for you guys down on Kent Street.
Okay. Wow.
So that was kind of a divine thing. It was kind of like at that moment, it was like, okay,
Right.
we're all right. And then I stayed up there for 32 days. And at that point, I could hear a gentleman, one of the guards, was yelling and screaming down the hall. And he says, you're going to get this guy. You're going to get this guy killed. You're going to get him, and what is he doing up here for a damn mischief? And I could hear them yelling down the hall. And then all of a sudden, he said, we've been looking for him for 2 weeks and nobody can find him in this jail. And now I find out he's up here with these guys. You're going to get him killed. Get him out of here, blah, blah, blah. So came in and banged on my door. And
who were those guys yelling?
There's like this corridor on one wing that's like about 50 yards. So in case somebody escapes from their cell, they get there's like a moment where they're running down that corridor, they can slam the gate shut. It's kind of like a preventative measure. And he shows up and he says, King, bangs on my door. He says, King, you're leaving. I was like, what? I'm out of here? He's like, no, we're transferring you to general population. I was like, oh, okay. So at that moment, after 98 days, 95 days, I finally got out of isolation, out of 24-hour lockdown, and brought down to general population, which was like Disneyland to me. It was like walking in, there's guys everywhere, and you're free to walk around, and you can watch TV, and there's board games, card games, and everybody was just like, I was shell-shocked coming out of isolation after 90 plus days, and I'm like, holy shit. All right. So then I walk into this place. Guys that knew who I was. There was a couple, 2 people that were arrested for a Rolling Thunder incident that had happened after the convoy in Ottawa. So I was able to go. They were there, and when they seen that I was in there, they were like, "Oh fuck, it's Pat King! Holy shit!" So, I went through a lot of shit, a lot of deep thought, a lot of, a man learns to find himself pretty good when you're all by yourself. So other than that, it was an experience in itself.
Yep. So 3 months out of your 5 months was spent basically in solitary and basically with like the most dangerous criminals that were there. That's what your experience was like, and it was basically tough on you. You couldn't talk with people and stuff like that. And so, yeah, like you said, for months you were in jail. You didn't know what was going on out in the real world. And so you have questions. You want to know, like, I bet you, I bet you wonder and think sometimes, was it worth it? Like whatever you went through, like the people that stuck with you, the people that didn't, the people that betrayed you, the people that didn't, the people that badmouthed you, the people that didn't, people who you thought were jerks ended up not being, people who you thought were awesome ended up not being awesome. It's just like, it must be like mind blowing to you. I mean, there's, the Coots boys are in jail still, and I'm thinking that they're wondering the same thing, and they definitely were not the leaders of that protest there. Everybody knows that. You watch the videos, and they're just guys. They're just like normal guys, and people during like stuff like that, people get hyped up. They say things they wouldn't normally say, or they might say something stupid that's not true, or they might whatever, and it's like just getting thrown under the bus and stuff, and going through what you went through, it would definitely make you justifiably want to ask questions and get answers for sure, right? And wonder if it was worth it. So, I mean, I can see why you're doing what you're doing. I think you've earned the right to ask questions. It wasn't easy for you to get lawyers. It wasn't easy for you to get representation. I heard that things didn't go good for you to try and get bail. You went through a couple of lawyers that didn't work out, and it was tough. So
But we still have a law society complaint against the two lawyers that actually worked with the Crown and set me up. And we're still waiting after 3 years. We're still waiting for the results from the Law Society complaint, which had been ramped up. I'm still waiting to find out what happened with that, what's going on with that. There's so much, man. Like they isolated me from George, and they told me George is ratting me out. And then they put George in protective custody for no reason, and then transferred him to another jail because they said George was ratting me out, and they were playing, that whole
it's called game theory. It's called game theory.
Yeah. But
so yeah, I mean, before I got on tonight, I thought, I wonder if anybody's ever asked Pat what his experience was like. Like, you're interviewing people, you're asking people things, and people want to tell their stories and stuff, but I'm just like, I don't know if you've ever talked about what it was like to go through all that. But anyways, I think Chris is back finally, and he's a limited amount of time if you want to
yeah.
get to him. But thanks for sharing that.
I appreciate you asking that, because it's like, I don't think anybody really realizes exactly, and maybe this can be a little bit of insight to people, what I actually have gone through. It's a good thought, Chad. So I appreciate you asking that. So a lot of people, when they ask, Pat, why are you doing this? Well, that's a little insight as to why I'm doing this, because I was left out in the dark, left in the cold.
I don't know what it would be like to spend 5 months in jail in 2 provinces away from my wife and kids, not being able to talk to them. It would be, and putting, my cellmates in for double homicide and 90 days of isolation. I've never gone through that. I don't know what it's like. I don't know what kind of thoughts would go through my head. So, yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, without further ado, we're going to bring Chris Garrah into the mix. And ladies and gentlemen, please give him a warm welcome. Chris, how are you, buddy?
Good, doing good. I lost you there for a while, but I'm okay now.
Yeah, you're good? Your battery's charged?
Yeah.
All right. So, Chris, a lot of people don't know who you are. First, I want to do is, ladies and gentlemen, this is Chris Garrah. Chris was in charge of Adopt a Trucker, which was a organization that he started on his own to help us out in Ottawa. I want to share something if I can. I want to just give you a little piece of who Chris is. Let's go here. Share screen. That's yellow. I got my lighting girl working.
We're here at Ground Zero a couple days before the big convoy lands, and I've got Chris Garrah, who's taking a few minutes in between phone calls. Chris, what's the week been like for you, and what's your role in the convoy this week?
Oh, the week's been very, very busy. I'm the coordinator for Ground Zero, and I have a partner named Janet who's helping out on the other half. We've been so busy. People that we have behind this, as in running computers, getting construction, making sandwich, food, parking. People of Canada have really stepped up. It's unbelievable what's happening. We actually have Ottawa working with us now. They've allowed us to come on Parliament Hill and speak and dance and sing and have music. And they've allowed us to take over Confederation Park again and dance and music. And they're really playing ball. They want this to go smooth. I'm really happy about the police and the city. We're hoping that this goes really smooth when we land. We got a lot of truckers. They're excited, full of energy. And we're trying to make this an atmosphere where people can enjoy Canada and come together as unity and love. And we don't want any violence. Everyone's on board with that. It's the people of Canada have really stepped up. They're awake now. They want their freedom. They want to breathe. And it's been the most exhilarating thing that ever had happened to me in my life. I want to thank my Lord for just allowing me to be in this position, and just thank God, like, for the amount of prayers and emails that these people It's unbelievable. You know, people are along the sides of the highway at 30 below, kids, elderly. I mean, Canada's on fire. Like I know for a fact that we are the center of the world right now. We're getting emails from Australia, United States, Egypt. Like these people are on fire for Canada. Yes, we're loving people and we can be quiet, but when you pull on the tiger's tail, you better watch out. Here we come.
Chris, so are you optimistic? I mean, how long do you plan to stay here at Ground Zero? What do you hope comes out of this over the coming days?
Well, I know for a fact that these men who are professional drivers have stepped up for Canada. And I'll tell you, if they're going to come this far, these guys are dedicated. I can't see them leaving until they get what they want. I mean, people have been in for 2 years, been put in situations that we never thought we'd be in. You know, we've always helped other countries for freedom, but now this is the first time in probably 75, 100 years that Canadians have had to fight back for their freedom. No, I really think that these truckers are here to stay and they won't leave until they get what they want.
Chris, how much work is there between now and when they land? I mean, what is Saturday going to look like in this square? I mean, it's pretty peaceful right now. What do you think this square is going to look like in 2-3 days from now?
Well, we're hoping that there'll be 500,000 people in here, anywhere from 60 to 100,000 trucks. I mean, I say that, but I can't count them because they just keep adding and adding up, and it's hard to just find out how many there are. And I know there's trucks sitting on the other side of the border who have reached out to us and emailed us and made videos, and that's the US, and they're calling us their brothers. And people are saying that they're proud to sing "Oh Canada" in the US. They want what we want. They're fighting hard for us, and this is going to be history. History. I just can't believe that I'm part of it.
So as this unfolds, we're grateful for people like Chris and all the other coordinators, and there are restaurants across the city ready to feed our truckers, to stand by them through the next few weeks. Liberty, well, we hope it doesn't go on that long. Liberty Dispatch is going to be there bringing you updates, and we're going to stay in touch with people like Chris. Chris, you have our prayers, you have our support. We thank you. And we, by the way, we have churches across Ontario who are sponsoring truckers, opening their homes, as you said, making food. And don't let anybody tell you that this is a small movement or that this is something that's going to be a blip. As you said, Chris, I really think this is going to be history. So we're glad to be here before it begins. And there's a little bit of electricity in the air. So thank you, Chris, for joining us. And stay tuned to Liberty Dispatch for more updates from.
All right, so that's just a little tidbit of Chris's initial first time. Was that your first time doing an interview over all of that?
Yeah, it was. It was pretty emotional.
No doubt. And now I want to let people see why Chris was involved in this. And this is for you guys to see a little tidbit of what Chris experienced.
All my kids do $6,000 tickets for everyone. Oh, anyone over the age of 12? 18. So myself and he's
I'm 17.
Is for anyone over the age of 16? You said 18. Which one is it? You guys are both 18. Are we? You guys like doing this for a job, giving out fake tickets? See if they're faking. Yeah. Catch you later. See you on the news.
All right, buddy. So you had a little bit of experience with the border, and you took a shit ton of tickets, eh?
Yeah, it was $7,300 worth of tickets for my whole family.
Just for traveling across the border. And when you went across the border, what was life like when you were over there?
Oh, it was beautiful. The people were so nice to us. This guy gave me a big bottle of whiskey when he knew we were from the convoy. I was like a hero to those people over there. Like, they love us. But, yeah,
all right.
great
so
experience.
you went through it, and now here we are, 4 years later, almost on the anniversary of what we all did. So
hey Pat, I want to thank you for having Chris on, because Chris was the first guy there and the last guy to leave. And if it wasn't for you right now and people like you, he wouldn't be acknowledged at all. Not that he needs acknowledgement, but it's been the opposite. This guy has been called names, put down, and had lies said about him. People have said he stole from the convoy. All these false allegations, like and it's nice that there's still like decent people in the world that will want to hear his story, right? Instead of say discrediting things about good people who just had their heart in it for the right reasons, so
Yeah.
anyways, Chris, yeah.
So Chris, tell me, in your way, how did you get involved?
Well, it originally started with a fella named Adrian, and he started a radio. And through the mix of it all, I started being a citizen journalist for him. And I went to Ottawa and I interviewed Action for Canada, Jody Ledgerwood, and I always forget his name. Help me out, Chad. What's the other?
The guy, James.
James Bowder.
James Bowder.
So I
Yeah.
interviewed them, and I had a website called War Room Canada, and we put them up on that. And we were doing everything we could to reach another crowd of people, because again, the news channels wouldn't cover anything. So that's how I got involved, and I ended up phoning James Bowder because I ended up seeing you, Pat. You're the one that got me excited. I was watching you all the time on Facebook. It seemed like you were a really good guy about what you were doing. I actually talked to you on the phone and asked if who you were and whatnot, and if you said there was going to be no violence, which I said, okay, good. I'm a Christian. I want to come on board with you. Mm-hmm. And it was because you got me excited. I ended up getting a hold of James Bowder, which he gave me your phone number. We talked. You got me in on the Zoom meetings. And in those Zoom meetings, I mean, I don't know every name that was there, but it was Chris Barber, Tamara Leach, Joe Jansen, yourself, James Bowder, Bridget. There was other people. I just don't remember everyone's name. And it was under the understanding that I was going to go there and, set up tents and whatever we could, because we figured it might be a weekend thing. So we wanted porta potties and food and hot chocolate and hot dogs. So I was asked to do that, and I came up with a budget. And I asked Tamara, I said, I probably need about 30, 40 grand to set this up because, the people that are coming, like yourselves, we'd like to get some hotel rooms and all that kind of stuff. Again, it was organic. This was my first time I ever did anything like this in my life. And I got a phone call about half an hour later saying there was no funding. And I went, wow, what do I do now? Like, all these truckers are coming. Man, I want to support this as much as I can. So that's where I come up with the idea, and we talked about adopt a trucker. And I thought, man, okay, so if people adopt truckers, and we do like we did with hockey, you talked about it in your interview, where people get billeted out in people's homes.
Yeah.
So I made up Adopt a Trucker. We started out with Facebook, and then we started getting emails, and they were coming slowly, and I was thinking, oh, man, this isn't going to work. And all of a sudden, I was getting emails, and people wanted to know how they could help. And my friend Adrian told me about Give, Send, Go. So we did a Give, Send, Go, and we did some advertising on that. We did some videos, and I'll tell you, after that, the emails were coming in. We had over 3,000 people that joined Adopt a Trucker. Like, people don't realize.
To help put people into homes and help people with food and all that kind of stuff.
Well, exactly.
Just
and people don't realize it was the city of Ottawa. And I say the city of Ottawa, it was the 3,000 people, and many that couldn't even register with Adopt a Trucker, took these truckers in their home, fed them. There was people that came from everywhere that sort of adopted that same idea, because when we went out in the streets, me and Chad, every 100 feet was a barbecue. Every 100 feet you could get free breakfast. There was mittens, there was toques. Like, I've never seen Canadians come together like this in my life. I was excited. I thought, wow, this isn't fringe. And when the truckers came in, again, so let's go back to like the 6 days when I said I was working with the police. The police got a hold of me on the telephone. They gave me maps. They gave us Confederation Park, which is another place. They gave us Coventry. They allowed this Carl guy to put up tents and chairs.
Okay, I want to show, and I don't mean to cut you off, and I want people to understand this. I want to show people key points to this of what Chris is saying in real time. So where the allegations are coming from, and this is why I wanted Chris to come on to discuss, is, and just give me 1 second. I want you to be able to address some of the things that you've been experienced, and let's just let this play.
And the Democracy Fund. There was a few other organizations in there. I don't want to, downplay them. They did a lot for people. They took a lot of people's cases and they helped them out in desperate times. Myself, included. Tamara, of obviously Democracy Fund, but GCCF has been there right from the start. They flew a few people in, to help us out with things like right off the bat. I think you could tell that we were unorganized right off the bat, and things were kind of a mess, and we needed some sort of a direction because it wasn't going anywhere. And I'm thankful for that. To this day, I look back at all the opportunities.
Oh, and none of us were.
Okay, so there was no organization, Chris. There was no anything. It was kind of a mess. There was nothing, planned, and it goes on in that video. Nobody had anything organized. We didn't know where to park. We didn't know where to go. So now it's yours. The floor is yours, my man.
Yeah, that's a lie. I mean, you can show Texas, and I've sent them to you, and they talked about it in the POC. I had maps from the Isabel. I have Texas from Isabel talking about staging, maps, where we can what streets we can park on. I spent $10,000 of my own money because the adopter truck didn't make enough money at first to make sure we had porta potties, we had tents up, we had seats. Like, I think on Coventry, I think it would hold 150 people. You were in there yourself. There's the maps.
So here's the map that Chris had sent days and days in advance of where we're going. This is all Chris working with law enforcement that we clicked them into. So our liaison officers. Here's text messages from Chris and our liaison officers that were sent on the 27th to everybody. So it looks like you guys are going to be able to park along Wellington. Sir Johnny McDonald will provide routes into this area. Tomorrow morning, staging area will be ready on Saturday morning. Hey, Chris, we've secured the RCGT baseball stadium. This is on the 26th of January. 302 Coventry Road for the convoy coming from the east. You can start working on a shuttle for them. We'll get into those ones after.
Yeah,
but,
so this is really important, guys.
But give me 1 second. So I just want to say to everybody out there, Chris and I communicating the whole time. Chris has been on the ground in Ottawa. You got permits too, correct?
Yeah, for the march. Yeah, we filled out permits. Got to remember, guys, we couldn't have did this without the city and the OPP. And the Ottawa police. She phoned me out of the blue. She had my phone number, and I'm not sure if Tamara or Chris Barber gave. I think Chris Barber gave.
I gave it to her.
Oh, was it you? Okay. And she phoned
I
me.
gave her all,
I heard
I
you're
gave
the
all the
organizer.
liaison numbers, all the liaison officers, everybody's number in Ottawa.
Okay, so I got a call from her saying, "Oh, you're going to be doing the staging and everything," and we had great conversations. Everything was going great, and again, we couldn't have did this without the city of Ottawa and the police of Ottawa. I got to remember, we didn't force our ways in. We didn't drive in like a bunch of bullies and just park. We followed every rule. We left the fire routes open. We had firefighters working with a adopter trucker. We had people on stage. We had security. We had doctors, lawyers. We had walkie-talkie systems set up. So if anyone, I think someone had a baby on near the stage, didn't they, Chad?
I don't know. I can't remember.
Yeah,
but
we were
We had a baby there?
We were so organized. It was like running Canada Day. And we never did anything without asking the police if we could do it.
Right.
So I don't understand how they
I think there were people that didn't have a role and didn't know what to do and probably just sat in a chair listening to talking heads, but it wasn't you. It definitely wasn't you. And the thing that really blows my mind, Chris, is that what were you doing before the police gave you routes? Before police gave you maps where to park, what were you doing?
Okay, that's a great question, Chad. I actually got a phone call from a fella. I don't want to say his name because whatever's going on. But he brought me around in his truck and he showed me places where truckers could park without being
in the city.
In the city. And there was lots of places that the truckers could have went. Because again, I didn't know what was going on. I've never did a protest before. I don't know Ottawa well, but this police officer phoned me and said, "This is my job. I'm the liaison officer. I'm going to help you with everything." And I said, "Great." It's even in one of my texts. I said, "I'm so glad that we can work together and you can walk me through this." Again, we couldn't have did this without the police, guys. This is important, and that's why they wouldn't let me talk at the POC. Everything we did was based on the city allowing us to do it and the police. Okay.
Mhm.
So nobody was there trying to break the law. Nobody was there trying to take over the city or occupy it. We were peacefully protesting, and then it went sideways.
So,
And we
so
know why.
Chris, I think people shouldn't miss the fact that your original plan was to have the trucks park outside of the city core. But I know this from the POEC that the suburbs of Ottawa found out that the truckers were coming, and they went to the police and they went to City Hall and they complained and they said, "We don't want the truckers in our neighborhoods. We don't want the truckers on the outskirts in the suburbs and around. So put them in the core." So the people in the suburbs complained and they got their wish, and so the police phoned you up and had a map drawn out of that they were indeed going to come into the core. And I just think it's more than ironic that that happened, and that the core, this people who live in the core are suing the protesters. It's like, no, 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 no. You guys need to be suing the city, the police. All anybody did was whatever the authorities told them to do.
That's right. And on my website, War Room Canada, there was a window in the background that the police had access to. And that was everyone's phone number and emails of all the captains of the truckers. So again, who goes into a protest and gives basically their heart out and puts it on a sleeve and basically follows every rule they asked us to do?
You
Because
went there a week early to try and follow all the rules, all the laws, get permits,
yeah.
get permission, get maps. Where do we go? How do we do it? Yeah.
And you know, the funny thing about it is they gave us Coventry because they knew there was a lot of trucks coming. And I said, you know what? Let's make this fun. Let's make this organized. I said, these guys are professional truckers. I said, if you have rules, to follow them, because most commercial trucker people, they don't mind following rules. They don't want to put anyone in danger. I'm a trucker myself, and I know what it's all about. When people follow rules, people don't get hurt. That's why Pat and those guys that came down from out west, no one got killed. There was no accidents, because these guys are professionals and they actually care about other people. And that's why they came. And that's why other people came, because we care about other people, and we care about people losing their jobs. We care about people dying. Like, I'll tell you, we thought that people were going to put our kids in a camp. Me and my wife cried like babies when we knew the truckers were coming. We felt like finally someone's on our side, because we were sitting at home. I mean, some of my family even discarded us, didn't want to talk to us, because the media was so strong by telling people, like, if you don't get your vaccine, you're killing grandma, you're killing kids, you're evil, you're misogynist. Like, I actually thought I was in the Twilight Zone.
So,
you know what I mean? And then when they put Pat in jail, and some of the stuff I heard they did to him, this was like psychotic, man. Pat, I know, because we talked some of the stuff. I don't want to talk about it over the air, but some of the vindictive stuff they did to you, people should be in jail for it.
yeah, I still think, right? Yeah, I didn't deserve half the stuff I went through, but I don't want to focus on me. I want to focus on your involvement. And then Chad, I want Chad to chime in on something. So when everything happened, Chris, and you were organizing Ottawa the weeks prior to us getting there, and the communications that we had, the relationships that you established with liaison officers, the temperament between Ottawa, and I just want to give kind of a mood on the initial day when we rolled in. How were you treated? How was law enforcement's behavior at that day?
It was wonderful. They were great. We would have conversations. We even met with the the Parliament ones. What are they called?
PPS.
PPS. I met with them. Everything was relaxed. We shook hands. I said we were here to work together. It was a great, great time. Like, I thought, wow, this is going to be a great protest. This is going to be fun. People are going to see that we're not misogynists, that we actually are kind and loving, and we're not here to, torment Ottawa. Nobody came to torment Ottawa. I'm telling you right
So
now.
law enforcement was well aware that this was going to be a beautiful thing. They were all on board. Everybody was good. Where were you located?
I was located at the Swiss Hotel. It was a great place to be.
Okay. And you had your own little, what, you had your own room, or how was that?
Me and the wife had a room, and a whole bunch of other people were there. Danny Beaufort, Tom O'Connor, Serge, Bethan. There was people that just decided to email that wanted to come on board to help. They had many skills with computers. Some were great speakers. Some were good at writing stuff. Some were just organizers. There was firemen that lost their job that were there. There was just so many people that were on board. And our mission statement was to be kind, pray for the truckers, don't cause any hassles. We just wanted to be there for the people. And I think it worked out really well until
It did.
about the second week. And when the lawyers came in,
Okay.
lawyers
Wait,
ruined
don't
it.
jump ahead. So now I want to give a little bit of insight on how Chris was there. Chris was in the Swiss. He had his own little team, group of great people working diligently day and night, getting food, getting supplies, getting fuel, coordinating with us, coordinating with people on the ground, coordinating with law enforcement. And also Chris was in charge of the stage. So Chris also, where you guys saw the big stage, Chris was responsible for that. You got the background too, right? The LED
I paid for
stage.
that. I paid for the speakers. I paid for the $20,000 box so that we could put it all over the world. It was some box that somebody invented, but it allowed us to go all over the whole world. It was amazing.
And then Chris,
it's the backstory behind that too.
Yeah, there's a whole backstory, and like I said, this is going to go on incredibly, but I'm trying to speed us through to get to the juice. There was a point where Chris was like, wait a minute, there's something going on here. And I think it was at the moment where they came up to you and told you I wasn't allowed to speak on stage.
Yeah, they did. And I said, no, that doesn't work that way. If anyone wants to speak on stage and they're positive and they're for what we're here for, you're allowed to speak on stage. So I put a stop to that.
Who told you this?
I don't really want to say any names for that because it doesn't matter. There was many. I know one thing. Keith Wilson didn't want you to even be in the Swiss Hotel when I invited you over. He was really mad. But there was, what I seen was, as soon as the money started getting big, I don't know, for some reason, Pat, they didn't want you to be around. People were told that don't be around Pat King. He's a bad guy, blah, 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 blah. Well, I just seen some bad things in the background. People were fighting over the money. Chad can talk about this too. There was people emailing him and wanting to get a hold of the money. They wanted to control it. They wanted to borrow money. They wanted to lend him money. Like, it was horrible. The money thing was the worst thing that ever happened, believe it or not.
I agree. But you started
It wasn't
to see
needed.
the breakdown.
No.
You started to see the breakdown where they were trying to take control. They even came in and tried to take control of your room.
Oh, for sure they did, but I didn't allow it.
Right.
Yeah, and then they had something. They were trying to be like sort of military. I'm like, we're not here to take over Ottawa. We're not here to demand stuff from Ottawa. We're here to protest mandates, that are just unbelievable. People are losing their jobs. They're dying. We're not here to like put some type of mandate on Ottawa. Who the hell do you think you guys are? I was actually getting pretty upset. And then, again, like, I'll tell you, this one we're doing right now will not do justice. If we're going to talk about what Keith and them did and how they made a deal with Ottawa and all that, that's a whole nother episode. Like, if you really want to break it down. Because, I mean, I just want to talk about right now about how amazing the people of Canada came and everyone in the streets took care of each other. And it was a love and peaceable. And then people came in and ruined it. They ruined it. When I flew in, people don't realize I paid for the lawyers to come in because somebody promised to pay for this and they never did. And I didn't want to see this guy be out all this money. I met him at the Swiss. He was a Christian. He was a great guy. He went out of his way to fly Tamara, the lawyers, Chad, Tamara's husband in. And we
Not
thought
Tamara, though. Not Tamara.
Oh, sorry, not Tamara. And we thought this was going to be a great thing because I was told that this person had skin in the game. And I'll tell you, when that person landed, he took over the convoy, and his name is Keith, and he destroyed everything that we built for 2 weeks, man. It was going so good until the lawyers got their fingers on it. And then
we determined in the last episode, we showed the flights and Tamara asking for the lawyers to be flown in. We uncovered that there was money allotted, that there was available to pay for the flights, but you got told that there was no money available.
Yeah.
So you had to pay for the flights.
Yeah, because I thought I was doing the right thing. Like, it's when you're in the midst of an organic protest and everyone seems to be on board and they're kind and they're loving and they want to do the right things and they're willing to work harder than I've ever seen people work. You're like, okay, like these people must be real. Like, you can't vet everyone and put them in a room with a big light on them to see if they're real. But as you
take people at their word that they're there for the right purpose. And we have that kind of thought process that when you give the man a handshake, you're an honest person. That's what the handshake represents. So you gave this guy a handshake thinking what he was doing was to be there for the right reasons that we were all there for. And now you're starting to experience that this guy comes in, flies in, and he's taking over. And he's telling people what to do, and he's delegating where things are happening. He's giving, we know this from POEC records, ladies and gentlemen. So this is all in the POEC, all this evidence, but we know that he was grooming Tamara.
Okay,
he was grooming her to get speeches and do media stuff, all of that stuff. And
this is important. Let Chad tell his story, because see, my story is different. So Chad will tell you his story, what he's seen in the Ark, and I'll tell you my story, what I seen in the Swiss. So he performed in the Ark and he performed in the Swiss, because I got to leave and I'm going to go play hockey because I'm a hockey nut. But Chad's story will fill up the rest of the time you got. What happened in the Ark, and people, this is really important.
Okay, so before you do that, if you want to jump down, let me show this piece, and I want to ask you a question before you go because your name's on it.
Okay.
Okay, so I want to make sure that our audience understands what's being shared here. And this here, ladies and gentlemen, is a document. It's an email from Keith Wilson. And the email states in it, last night at the board meeting, the board directed that a drafting committee of Sean, Ryan, Eva, and Keith drafting a, hang on, let me just grab this and move it up and then zoom in here.
A manifest?
This is the beginning of the manifest. The drafting committee will keep working on the broader document for review by the board tomorrow, but in the meantime, below is the draft communication. So do you remember receiving this email?
I never got an email, but I will say that they were doing stuff in the background, and then they tried to call a special meeting, and all this stuff was done. So that means they've already talked to the mayor, whoever was in charge of this. And as far as I know, I'm pretty sure it was Keith, Tamara, Chris Barber, Tom Marazzo, and Chipia. And they already made plans and did a whole bunch of stuff. And then they tried to bring this to us to get us to agree with it. And we were all like, what's this? What's going on?
Okay, now next, and this is the one with your name on it. So for everybody who wants to know, this is the results of said email that was brought in. And the results to this email states, and if I can zoom it in for everybody, and you can see Chris's name is at the bottom right here. It says the truckers on the Freedom Convoy 2022 board plan to start repositioning our trucks forward on Monday to consolidate our protest. And it goes into more details. But do you remember seeing any of this documentation at all ever?
No.
You don't. So you were never asked about moving trucks. You were never asked about negotiating with the city of Ottawa after you built a great team, a great group of people with your liaison officers that allowed us to come into Ottawa and all of that stuff. You were never a part of any of that.
Never a part of that, putting that together. But like I said, they had a special meeting after they put this all together. I don't know when they put it all together, and made a deal with the mayor. And they came to us and asked us if we wanted to move trucks. But the meeting went nowhere because there was probably about 20 people in the room, and all those people weren't board members. So it was just a very vague meeting saying, we'd like to do this. What do you guys think about it? That's what I remember. Chad, help me out. You were there too.
Well, yeah, and so I even at that meeting, so Keith organized a meeting. He wanted a meeting, right? We didn't ask for a meeting. We never set up a meeting. He wanted a meeting. At the meeting, at the very beginning of the meeting, it was tense between him and I because I said, "So, like, what's the purpose of this meeting that you called together? What is it?" And he's like, "Okay, Chad, we got to be formal, I guess." And let's use the King's English or whatever. And I like bounced my head off the table. I'm like, Keith, we like, what's the point, you know? And so then he informed us that he was having these meetings with them, and he said it was a good thing. And the whole point that he was trying to make is, if we can move trucks out of residential areas, then the mayor is going to agree to meet with Tamara, and that will give the protest some merit by like by a government official, and who can acknowledge that we have legitimate concerns, right? He was saying, if we can get an official to admit that our concerns are legitimate, that will put pressure on Trudeau to be more reasonable. So this was the trade, you know, we'll move trucks and you have a meeting with Tamara to make the protest look legitimate. And people are like, "Oh, okay, sounds good. Thanks for the information." And then, as you can see in that email, that's why, like, you know, people are gonna probably want to call Chris a liar. Oh, he knew, he was included on the email. He got, just like what happened with Benjamin Dichter. Is Benjamin Dichter was like, what the heck? What the heck is this thing? And you know, he got the email and he probably said, "Looks good." Right? Like, okay, cool, whatever. Because as you can see in that email, it says, "Oh, and by the way," or something like that. Check this out. You know, it wasn't like there was like a lot of thought put into it or whatever. Yeah. It
Right.
was, "Oh, and in the meantime," right? In the
Yeah.
meantime, how about this, guys? And it was by email. That wasn't the purpose of the meeting. Actually, the purpose of the meeting, what they think the purpose was to create this manifesto. They're like, "Oh, you guys said we should make a manifesto." Again, not our idea. Nobody ever said, "Hey, this protest really needs a manifesto." Like, that wasn't a thing. Nobody really cared about a manifesto, but the lawyers really wanted to create a manifesto. So,
And I want to show people, here is the manifesto. And this is what Eva Chipiuk had drafted up. And it was it says public inquiry of government's response to COVID. And they want a self-governance of the parliamentary people to build their own unified all-party parliamentary process to investigate themselves. This is another bigger version of it that was printed.
no, that's
up.
the first page. That's the first page. The other thing was the second page.
Okay,
so the first page
the
has
second
like
page.
these demands on it.
Right. So ladies and gentlemen, where I'm going with this and what Chad and I are trying to bring to your attention to this is, understand this. You have people such as Tom Marazzo, who's acting military-like. You have a lawyer now involved who's already put his nose in the GoFundMe and messed that right up. And now they are sending demand letters and meeting with officials in Ottawa that, unbeknownst to all of us, they went rogue. They acted on their own. And Tamara and Chris allowed this to happen. And this is where I have my questions for Tamara and Chris. And that's all I have is questions. Why did you allow this to happen without consulting everybody? And for all those out there that are thinking, "Oh, you know, Tamara and Chris kicked you out, Pat." No, they did not. In fact, if you go to Tom Marazzo's book, you'll see that I have 2 chapters in Tom Marazzo's book. And Tom Marazzo actually admits to encouraging me and asking me to do several things and working alongside Pat, bring trucks up onto Kent Street, Pat, go do the tour around the airport and all this stuff. So Tom is asking me to do these things. All the while, they're trying to negotiate with the city of Ottawa using acronyms such as situational awareness. They're using war room tactics. They have situation rooms. They're using military verbiage in what they're doing. And if anybody who knows within that group of people in those organizations, that the second you start to negotiate with a city and then send them a list of demands, as well as referring to rooms such as the war room and situational awareness and prep. Danny Bulford knows this lingo. Tom Razzo knows this lingo. Vince Gersey's and all the law enforcement know this lingo. And Keith Wilson knows all this lingo as well. And now they move into negotiating tactics, which then kicks the city of Ottawa to ask the government that we are being held hostage. And now in comes the boots to the head. And this is where I have an issue. Now, we could go on about the money, but these guys, Chad, Chris, and many other people that were in there, experienced these in real time. And when they approached them afterwards, after everything dissolved, Chad's been attacked. He's been tried. They went after Chad's CPA acknowledgement. They accreditation. They went after Chad's they went after you, bro, in so many ways.
And like barely anybody knows about some of this stuff because the only reason why anyone would know that they did that is because Chris Barber liked to tweet about that. He encouraged people to go after me professionally. I can't share the details of the efforts that he encouraged people to do publicly because I have to get I basically when that happens, I have to agree to keep things confidential, and so I have, but he didn't, and it's gotten around, and they've talked about it and snickered about the problems that they put me through. So but I'm still not gonna give details about that. But I mean, they have, and I probably have the right to talk about it since
I would think so.
they've been public about it. But I'm just gonna be on the up and up, and if I really want to blow the lid on that, I'll talk to my CPA society and say, hey, I'd like permission to make this all public. But for now, I'm not going to. Yeah, basically, what happened, and I want to make this short and sweet so it's very concise. What happened is a bunch of really great people did some really great things. And Chris and Tamara in your clip there said, yeah, nothing was going good until Keith and the JCCF came in. Well, and so like nobody did anything good until the JCCF and Keith Wilson came, really? And well, what did Keith Wilson do? Well, the first thing he did was go set up a press conference and say, do you know who the leaders are of this organization? The leaders are Tamara Leach. She's the reason why we're here and the spark that lit the fire. This is Chris Barber. He's the leader too. And Danny Bulford, he's the leader too. He wrote Tamara's speech. In the POEC, there's 2 pages of Keith Wilson's testimony where the lawyer at the POEC said, so did you write that speech for her? And he didn't want to answer the question. He blabbered on and on, blah, 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 blah. And then the lawyer said, that's not what I asked you. I asked you if you wrote her speech for her, blah, 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 blah. He blabbers on. Then the lawyer again says, Keith, that's not what I asked you. I asked if you wrote that. And then he's blabbers on about how it was a team effort, blah, blah. But he did. He went there, wrote her speeches, put the focus on her. And yeah, I mean, you wonder why they're saying our heroes are the JCCF and Keith Wilson. Their heroes are that because they bombed into that place, put these people as the poster children of the of everything, made them the face of everything, and then that becomes and like that becomes like a focal point for donations. I'm sorry, that's the way I see it. It becomes like, if you want to create the Death Star that has that the big laser instead of all these little tiny little lasers everywhere, like all these little individuals all over the place. No, 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 no. What's way more efficient is to create a great big Death Star laser, pew, and that focus. If you're gonna donate to this cause, donate to Tamara's legal fights, donate to Chris Barber's legal fights, and it's just becomes all about them. Then when you say, that's weird, uh, that doesn't seem right. What do? They put out videos. You're just jealous. You want all the clout. You want the focus. You want the attention. And you're like, but that's not what we're saying. We're not saying, we're just saying you've left everyone else behind and you've left people in jail. You've created stupid manifestos that didn't work out and stupid mayor deals that fell apart and justified partly justified the Emergency Act crackdown on people. Like you bombed in to take control and make this Death Star with the big laser that put people's focus on where they should send their money, and you've like destroyed a lot of stuff. And then when you say something about it, they make up lies and say, like, I've been accused of stealing. Like, I've been accused of being crazy. I have mental disorders. I stole money. I was hired to do a job and didn't do it. Just a lot of stuff, right? And all I wanted to do was help. But if you ask one question, you're attacked like that. Then when you stick up for yourself and say, "Hey, wait a sec. I did this and this and this. I thought I was helping." Then they say, "Oh, you're bragging about yourself now. You want all the clout. You want all the attention." But all you're doing is sticking up for yourself against the allegations that they make of you. And now you sticking up for yourself is you seeking clout, is you wanting the attention. And it's like, wow, you guys are just not cool.
And
Like,
that's exactly what I've been experiencing when I've reached out to just say, hey, guys, like, it's time to talk. We need to know where the breakdown and comms went. We need to know why you did certain things. And now I'm getting rebuttals where it's just, you just want attention. You didn't have a good time at the convoy. Well, maybe you should look in the mirror because you're a dick, and these are coming from Chris Barber. And all it is like, dude,
that's his
I don't
MO,
give a
man.
shit about any of the attention. I don't. What I want to bring up to people is that there were people brought into this who destroyed it and literally created the havoc that stuck me in fucking jail for 5 months, gave me a record, got me a sentence of 1 year, and you can't look me in the eye and tell me why you allowed these people to do that. And you ask me, oh, Pat's just butthurt. Am I butthurt? Maybe somewhat, but at the same time, I'm a man and I deserve answers. And a lot of other people deserve answers as well.
That's just gaslighting you. It's just and like any adult, any person who is supposed to be a mature adult who falls for these stupid things that Chris Barber says, you need to give your head a shake. People aren't speaking up because they're jealous of Chris Barber. In no way, shape, or form would I ever, in a million, billion, trillion, zillion years, be jealous of that dude. Okay? Please trust me on this. And the guy, he's a self-admitted internet troll. Trolls say things that aren't true just to get a rise out of people. That means they're liars, okay? And they'll say whatever they can, and then laugh at their keyboard. Ha ha ha! I made this person upset. Isn't that awesome? I've seen that activity from that dude. He's not like. And for him to badmouth Chris Garrah, who went there a week early to help him, to sacrifice for him, he was there a week early to help that guy. And he was the last guy to leave, too. Like, you can, whatever, you want to badmouth me, you want to say, hey, how's your wife going, to try and get a rise out of me, to say the word wife to me. You want to do that? Whatever, do that at your own discretion, buddy. But if you want to badmouth people who like put their self on the line for you, call him an idiot, call him a dork because he doesn't say some words properly. Who gives a crap if he doesn't say some words properly, you moron? He helped you. He went there. He sacrificed for you. He went there for everybody. He went there to help everyone. The guy he goes it like the guy's brought to tears talking about how much he appreciated everyone, the truckers. He appreciated everyone. And then who didn't Chris Barber accuse of theft and stealing? He accused Chris of trying to steal all, like, you name it. That's what this internet troll did. Chris Barber, congratulations, you are a shit disturber. That's your value in all of this. You're a shit disturber. You'll say audacious things, and we got a tough guy on our side. That's what a lot of people find value in, is that we got like a tall 6'3" tough guy on our side that will say audacious things and tell people to F off and blah blah blah. I don't need you. I don't need that kind of guy on my side. I got myself on my side. If I want a tough guy on my side, I'm good. I got me. And you guys, you don't need that.
My biggest thing, and I appreciate you going there with that, but one of my biggest concerns in all of this was for everybody out there is it wasn't just those two people. And that's what I want to let people know. There was hundreds of us that were in behind doing things. And as much as this is the other part, is as much as everybody thinks that Pat, you were a loose cannon, or you were this, you were that. That was unheard of. I was and I've been credited by the judge that even stated that I was the influencer and the positive influence that kept it from violence and damage to property in significant respects. Well, if that's the case, and I'm getting that from the judge, why then were these people trying to say that I was the problem? I was the liability. That's the word I heard tossed around in your guys' rooms lots. But yet in behind it, they're coming to me, asking me to park trucks on Kent Street, asking me to go and do tours around the airport, asking me to go put out this disagreement, that disagreement. And I look at it and go, if you needed me to be the monster in your story, I'll be the monster in your story. But now the story's ended. Can we tell the truth now? Can we now tell everybody that, hey, you know what? We were linked with Pat. It was all good. Everything's fine. Let's move on. But no, you get told continuously that I was a dick. I was this. Guys, ladies and gentlemen, when you hear what they're saying about, Chad, Chris Garrah, myself, Dana Metcalf, Bridget, anybody that was close to them were crazy. We got scruples loose. We're looking for notoriety. We're looking for all of this. We're looking for all of that. But if you look at this group that you see that's coming together, there is a pile of us from the originals that are still in the groups chatting, every single one of us. But the only ones that are missing are two people. That's it. There's two people missing out of the originals that has come together and is still talking and still, in fact, we're sharing out on platforms with people that experienced it, but they just couldn't be in the live tonight because they were busy, but they experienced it as well. Some of the saddest part to all of this was, as you see us as a big group of positive people, went there for the right reasons, did all of the right things, liaison, worked with law enforcement, did everything we could to keep everything going and everything together. You have two people that people have given millions of dollars to, while other people are still suffering. In fact, here's the plug, packingappealfund@gmail.com. I am heading into court May 11th for my appeal. It's going ahead. But at the same time, when I asked Tamara and Chris, hey guys, you know what? We're all on the same team. We're all going through this. The Crown appealed my case. They're appealing your case. Hey, you want to kind of help a brother out? I get told to kick rocks. I'm only in it for drama. When we could have been a formidable team.
That's so immature too. Like, that's not how adults talk. That's not how a mature, consenting, thinking, rational mind talks. You don't say, oh, you're all about the drama. Like, that's how Valley girls talk. You don't, like, this is, you're all about the drama. You say, are your intentions correct or whatever? Like, what's your intentions are upright. The Crown is appealing your case. They want you to go to jail longer. You're not appealing. You're not even appealing your case. They are. So you have to go through another round of court cases. So you're saying, hey, guys, I have no money for legal fees. I'm not trying to get rich, but lawyers are at least $200 an hour. At least.
Oh,
Look at
no, $500 an hour.
That's why I said at least. I know I know you got I heard your partner laughing in the background because it's so it's $500 an hour, people. Just think about what you have to pay a mechanic now. Mechanics are over $200 an hour. Lawyers are over that. And I get why you're saying I need I'm being sued on the $300 million or $400 million lawsuit in Ottawa. I've been self-represented the whole time. I've done my own paperwork, my own research, because I can't pay someone $500 an hour, $750 an hour, $1,000, whatever an hour. I don't want a fundraiser for me for legal fees, whatever. I don't care. I'm fine doing it myself, so I'm not asking for that. I might go not self-represented because I'm going to do something that should help all the donors and everybody. And I finally am talking to a lawyer about coming in now. Well, what is it? 4 years later, after 3 years later? Yeah. So
4 years. We're still waiting. And I want to put something to rest quick before you hold on your thought. All the funds that Chris Garrah had in his are all frozen, ladies and gentlemen. So Chris Garrah's funds that he was raising to help feed people and keep things going, they got frozen as well as his bank accounts got frozen. So I seen a comment that he stole $12,000 from the Swiss. Lies.
No, he didn't. No, he didn't. No, that's a Chris
bullshit.
Barber lie. That's not
a
true.
Barber lie again.
That's a Chris Barber lie. Yeah.
Yeah.
So whoever's in the comments saying that, stop drinking the Kool-Aid.
No, they're asking. So Chris didn't steal $12,000 from the Swiss?
No.
Not at all.
No. There's some the story is not even worth talking about, but it's like he was the first guy to have his personal bank accounts frozen. The first out of anybody. Okay. Like corporate bank accounts got frozen, but not personal. But because he was raising money for Adopt a Trucker through a personal account that he opened, but it didn't get frozen like Tamara Leach's did. It got frozen when the restraining order got issued on February 10th.
So and myself both had ours shut down mine was February 7th.
Okay, so I don't, February 7th, you'll have to tell me about that. But February 10th is when there was a restraining order against all the fundraiser funds. And he got his personal accounts frozen, like all of them. Not just the account that he was using to fundraise, all of his accounts, everything. And he freaked out and he said, I need some money. I need money. And for me, so lots of people got money for themselves. And I said, Chris, you don't take any of the money that's pouring into the Swiss hotel. Don't worry about it. There's a lot of people that will take care of you. I'll help you. Everyone will help you. There's no way you're going to get left behind. That's the story. He didn't steal money. He didn't take money. Chris Garrah bought a safe and gave us a safe to put the money in. I only knew the combination to the safe. Well, another person did too, but it's a female and in the background, and I don't need to say her name, but two people knew the combination, and we always had a witness when we opened the safe, and we always recorded when money went in. We recorded when money went out, but when that money got spent, it got approved first, and two people, we came up with a very good system of transparency to make sure that money didn't get stolen. And I'm very proud of that. And it went well. It went well. And to accuse Chris Garrah of stealing money is it's low. It's horrible. Chris Barber wasn't there. He didn't see anything. He wasn't around. And what the hell does that guy know?
Well, there's other things, and I'm not going to start slinging shit, but I do know that there's other people that have come forward in recent days and seeing what we're doing, and they wanted to chime in. And one of them is telling me a lot more things that happened after Chris had got home, and some things. And I'm not going to go and start putting out, but I just want people to know we're not here worrying about the money and who stole what and all of this stuff. What my focus is I want to bring back to the center of why I wanted to start this is because there's one incident that destroyed everything in Ottawa. And it was the incident of the negotiations when Keith Wilson acted on his own behalf and decided to start talking to the city of Ottawa without anybody who was involved knowing any of this stuff happening. He's putting people's names on documents that people didn't know of, and he's saying that this was approved. It wasn't. People didn't know of this. Negotiations were had. That turned it into a hostage situation, which then turned it into boots to the head and jail for myself, jail for many others, long drawn out trials, an Emergencies Act being invoked. That's another key factor to how this is very nefariously planned and orchestrated in my mind. I'm not going to say this is Chad's thoughts, but in my mind, not only that, we also see this character involved, deeply embedded with the independence movement in Alberta, giving people in Alberta a hope.
Yeah, that's going to work out real good.
Just to give you a hope. And now you see this man. Not only that, like I've showed this to other people, but he's causing a rift within the independence movement. If you haven't seen, he brought something up, and Jeffrey Rath brought this up, and I thought this was kind of interesting. That neither Keith Wilson or Corey Morgan speak for Alberta Prosperity Project or Mitch Sylvester on First Nations issues or any. There's already infighting happening within the independence movement, and whose name's right at the center of it? Keith fucking Wilson.
Mm-hmm.
Like this is what I'm trying to tell people. And who
Trouble
brought,
in paradise. Trouble in
who brought Keith
paradise.
Wilson
Trouble in
in?
paradise.
Yeah. So who brought Keith Wilson in? Tamara. Tamara's flying him in.
Well,
and then she says she doesn't have the money. And then they ask Chris Garrah to lend the money. And then Chris Garrah's a piece of shit. Chris Garrah has all these names in the book. But Chris Garrah came to everybody's aid when you needed funds, along with other people like Joseph Bourgault. He came in with millions of dollars and helped everything. He's owed a couple $100,000, I hear. You know, there's a bunch of people that are owed all this money. But it all comes down, and I'm a SCAT kind of guy, system cause and analysis technique. And when you look at the root cause of one problem, Keith Wilson keeps coming right to the center.
Mm-hmm. Well, and you know, like where things went sideways with me, obviously when I started asking them about their contract swapping, and them continuously applying to court to take money out of the donations instead of paying themselves from their own donations, their JCCF donations. That was ground zero. But then the icing on the cake was when I did question them about the mayor deal fiasco. Chris Barber's response to me asking questions about the mayor deal fiasco was to accuse me of taking off with $12,000 for not doing my accounting job. So that's so his immediate response. It's almost like he had it on copy and paste. Didn't you take off with $12,000, Chad? You stole $12,000. It's immediate discrediting me for questioning the mayor deal, for questioning the breakdown of the mayor deal, how Benjamin Dichter had control of Tamara's Twitter account at the time, and he denied that there was a mayor deal through her Twitter account, and then the lawyers kept that a secret from us and didn't let us know about how that fell apart. And the media was saying, oh, I guess there's no deal. And these people are kooks, and they say we'll do one thing, but then they don't do it and they do another thing. And then the next day, the Emergency Act got invoked. The next day, not
Imagine
even
that.
24 hours later. So I was freaking out. And I wrote an email to everybody that was way too long. I admit that. I just had a freak out moment. Lots of people were in panic mode at one point or the other. And I was like, guys, and I wrote this email. Then, Barber's in the emails. He's like, well, you're a crazy person, blah, blah, blah. And then I'm like, look, and I pared it down to like a short thing. And then he accused me of stealing. Like, that's his MO. But then Wilson went, I don't believe that was Chris Barber's doing. I don't think he made that up. I'm like, who told you that? Who told you to say that? Because it was too like sophisticated of wording. I'm like, who gave you those words to say that, Chris? And he wouldn't answer me. And then, lo and behold, Keith Wilson starts sending this to all like podcasters. Chad took money. Chad didn't do his job, blah, blah, blah. And some of them sent Keith Wilson's messages back to me saying, this is what he's saying about you. So there you go. It's like, and why do Tamara and Chris Barber swear by them and say they're the greatest thing since sliced bread? Well, they bombed in and said that Tamara Leach, and if you want, you want to support somebody, you support Tamara Leach and Chris Barber. They're the spark that lit the fire. They're the reason why we're all here. And then they just try and destroy everyone else. So how are we, and we're not supposed to talk about this, and we're not supposed to say anything, or what? You're not going to like me anymore? I don't care.
Right.
Don't like me.
Well, and then I get told in a conversation that I had, and there's text messages to prove it as well. And I'm just waiting to get those text messages so I can back these claims up, because I am all about facts, but I do have it in recording. So just so people know, Keith Wilson, when he first got there, was very, very nervous that what I was doing on the streets and handing out money and making sure that truckers were taken care of, and food, about everything that was that I was doing, was making them look bad because Tamara wasn't doing it. And the key to shutting me down and not giving me a mic on the stage and all of that was because I was making them look bad, and that they were jealous that the attention I was receiving was overshadowing the spark that lit the flame. And what they were trying to do was shut down any possibility that I was getting any, positive light. And instead, they turned it around. And this is my hypothesis in this, is Tom Marazzo asks me to move trucks up onto Kent Street. I go move trucks onto Kent Street, get them up there. Then I'm asked to go do the airport, because they know that I'm there for a protest. So I'm
who asked you to slow roll through the airport? Who asked you to do that?
Tom.
And what did you get charged for in the end?
And this is where I'm going. So the only two things I was charged with was mischief, was the loading trucks up on Kent Street and circling the airport. Those are the two things I was charged with. So now I'm left to deduce in my own mind.
Not your idea?
They were jealous of me. They were jealous I was making them look bad. They set me up to do these two things so that they could set me up to be the fall guy. I go down, whatever it is, what it is. I go down, they get propped up.
So you doing these two things that caused you to have a criminal record and go to jail for 5 months, those are the two things that caused it? Is
just those.
Wow.
Just those.
And Marazzo is Keith's right-hand man.
Yeah.
And I see, I've stopped looking at his crap years ago. But
he even admits this, Jack.
Thank you for your service. Thank you for your service, Tom Marazzo. Thank you for your service. And one of his claims to fame is that he he cracked down on G20 protesters. Like he openly brags about that all the time, that he was like a part of the crackdown on the G20 protesters. It's like he openly brags about the demise of the G20 protesters. I know they're supposed to be left, and maybe he was bragging about that because he was bragging about cracking down on left wingers. I don't know, whatever, but it should make you a little bit nervous that he knows how to orchestrate and crack down on protesters, and then now he's in negotiations with the mayor. And I have texts, and I didn't really understand at the time. Like, obviously, 2020 is I don't know what the saying is right now. I'm all like kerfuffled, but it's like you at the time they were calling it the end game. They were saying we're working on an end game right now. Sorry, Chad, we can't address what you're talking about. And I'm like, I look back and I'm like, oh, they're working on an end game. Okay. But weren't they the ones encouraging everyone? This is your right. You should stay as long as you can. Giving people hope that the police would back down and join us, and we'll all sing Kumbaya together, and there wasn't going to be like a crackdown on protesters.
Well,
Like,
there's a bigger thing. There's a bigger thing that comes out of this too. Is I get told by Tom Marazzo in an X message to Pat, keep my name out of your fucking mouth, is what he said. Pardon my language, ladies and gentlemen.
yeah, and what if you don't? What's he gonna
don't
do?
ever say my name. And then I go to find out that he has gone and put me into 2 chapters of his book, pointing fingers directly at me. So
before you were done being sentenced?
Tom Marazzo, I will never keep your name out of my mouth. I think you're a slime ball. I think you set everybody up. I think you knew what you were doing, because you even admit in your book that you put a CSIS operative in the convoy around the airport to keep tabs on me. You put a CSIS operative. And
he said this in his book?
It's in his book, guys. This is where I'm going off this. So call it slander. Well, maybe you should retract some statements from your book, Tom.
Tom's an intelligent, well-spoken guy. Like, he's smooth like butter, and I'll give him that. Like, I watched a YouTube video of him teaching math. He was teaching sets or something like that, because I wanted to see, like, is this guy like actually for real or whatever. Like, I taught at college too. I taught some college math, algebra, blah blah blah, accounting, finance.
His son would dance circles around him when it comes to math, so I ain't worried.
But anyway, I was just like, well, like, because he got let go from his job at a college because he was sending out emails saying, let's sue our employer because our employer's not giving us our whatever employment rights because of COVID mandates and blah blah blah. And they were like, well, you can't send out emails encouraging people to sue your employer. Like, that's improper use of email, right? So if you look in, anyways, I looked into him because I was a teacher. He was a teacher at a college, and he's not a complete moron. Obviously, if you listen to him talk, he's a well-spoken guy. He's a good orator, and this is what Keith and Eva loved about him. They were over the moon about this guy, and he was their right-hand guy. And unfortunately, I finally got my hands on a document that was in an email sent to Tom Marazzo, Keith Wilson, Eva Chipiuk, and another guy who I believe has been duped quite tragically, Thomas O'Connor. And the letter in the email says, now that the Emergency Act has been invoked, these protesters are in big trouble. Like, all bets are off, and normal rights and freedoms are suspended. They can be arrested, and even if they're found to have been well within their rights to protest, even under the Emergency Act, they could go through years and years of lawyer fees, thousands, tens of thousands of dollars, and a lot of like pain and suffering. So they should be told this, and they should be made aware of this. Well, instead of giving us that letter, instead of telling everybody about that, Keith Wilson made a video with Chris Barber telling everybody, go to the front lines, square off against the authorities, bring your kids to make them stand down. That's the complete opposite of the email that he got, that him, Tom Marazzo, Eva Chipiuk, and the other Thomas guy. The other Thomas guy, he's a good guy. I just think he's a bit starstruck by people, and maybe it's been years, so maybe he's come around and thought and been like, oh sheesh, yeah. They're not gonna let me into their inner circle of whatever whatever they think their inner circle is. So yeah, I mean it's hard. At the POEC testified that the purpose of him going to Ottawa was to tell the protesters what they can and cannot do and to help with the GoFundMe. What they can and cannot do at a protest. Like, in other words, like, you can do this at a protest. If you do that at a protest, you'll get arrested. You'll have a criminal record. You'll get sued. And not to be like sarcastic or anything, but how did he do? 100% of the board of directors ended up on a lawsuit. 2 of the president and vice president have a criminal record, and countless others were beat up and jailed, and you know what I mean? Like, I wouldn't say that's a success.
I want to back up what Chad's saying here, and I know, ladies and gentlemen, it's hard to read, but this is the letter where he says, all Canadians have the right to gather in peaceful assembly under Section 2 of the Charter. The police cannot arrest an individual for peacefully protesting, but they can arrest individuals for obstructing a police officer, which means intentionally trying to prevent an officer from carrying out their duties. Trespassing, which means staying at someone's private property after they've asked you to leave, and mischief, which means damaging and interfering with others' property. The police cannot stop you and ask you for identification if you are peacefully protesting, but they can detain you if they're investigating. So this is what Chad was just talking about. Now, not only that, I want to, sorry, I lost.
So this document here that you just showed, so there's a POEC document, like it was in the POEC. The letter from that was a letter from a JCCF lawyer. So not all, like I said, not everyone is 100% good and 100% evil. Not every organization has just bad people and no good people. This guy from JCCF seems to be using he put his legal hat on, and he was acting in good faith. And so he basically said, guys, you need to tell the protesters where they're at right now. Like, under the Emergency Act, it's a totally different ball game, but that letter never got to me. Instead, something else happened, which is the video you're about to share.
Hi, Canada. We're here with Keith. This is our legal representation out here. He's got a little bit of info for you for the letters that have been being left on everybody's doorsteps by Ottawa City Police today. This is important information everybody needs to get. So, Keith.
Hi there. I'm legal counsel to the not-for-profit Freedom Convoy. The federal government released a new proclamation last night under the Emergencies Act, and the legal wording of it is clear. It doesn't say what the police are telling you it says. It clearly, the legal proclamation that was issued by the federal government continues to allow for peaceful protests. It allows for peaceful assembly. It allows for Canadians who are concerned about their charter rights and who want to bring their children to participate in the restoration of their future rights to come to Ottawa. The order says that you can only not come to Ottawa if you're going to disrupt international trade, disrupt critical infrastructure, or engage in acts of violence. No one involved in this freedom movement, none of the truckers support any of those things. So if you're thinking about doing those things, don't come and give your head a shake. We're about peaceful protests. This emergency order from the federal government does not restrict Canadians' rights of peaceful assembly. However, what we can see on the ground here is the police look to be gearing up. It looks like the federal government is going to tell the police.
This is the part.
Violence against lawful protesters. And one way to stop that from happening is Canadians who are concerned about their rights and government overreach to come to Ottawa as soon as you
Boom.
can get here and stand with the truckers.
More.
I believe the police are reluctant to follow this. If they follow what the federal government's telling the police to do, it will be an illegal order. It will be unlawful. So if you come and stand with the protesters, it will make it harder for the police to act on what they're being told to do. And it's really important that freedom-loving Canadians get to Ottawa as soon as possible to stand with the truckers and exercise their legal charter rights of peaceful assembly.
We'll be here, guys. Remember, peace is the only way up.
So just so you guys see that, this is in my mind, a setup for all. Basically, he set out a memo saying they're going to arrest you, they're going to detain you, but then everybody come to Ottawa. Everybody get down there and make sure that you have your voices heard.
If the police act on what the government told them to do, it will be illegal.
Yeah.
He said that if the police follow orders, they will be acting illegally. So we need more protesters to come. Now, this kind of sounds like the idiots in the U.S. telling the citizens, ICE can't arrest you. ICE can't detain you. They have no authority to arrest. They have no authority to do anything. So go in there, stop ICE from taking illegal aliens out of the USA. Go stop them. And what's happening? Bad stuff is happening.
Absolutely.
ICE can absolutely detain, arrest, charge. You can't obstruct ICE. You can't assault ICE. You can't do that either. Now, a lot of the protesters at the beginning of the protest, there was normal like constables there, and we were getting along with them. They were even
absolutely
they were even goofing off with people. They were
they wanted to play hockey with us, Chad, but I had to email the chief of police just to make sure it was okay. We had it all set up that we were going to have a 6-on-6 and it was going to be a fun hockey game, and they wanted to play hockey with us.
Yes. But then when the Emergency Act was invoked, those guys were taken out.
Absolutely.
And new guys were brought in.
Yeah.
Like we're talking like special forces guys.
And that's my point. The second they started to negotiate with the city of Ottawa, that's when they went into combat mode. I say combat mode. I don't know the exact mode, but they went into hostage situation mode.
And to tell civilians to go confront special ops is the most moronic, stupid thing anyone, let alone a lawyer, could tell anyone. Do you understand this, people? How dumb, how like bizarre this all is? So because you know what it kind of looks like to me, somebody wanted a spectacle. Somebody wanted some sort of high profile thing to happen. That doesn't.
And what have I talked about, ladies and gentlemen? They wanted a scenario. They were setting up for a big riot. They were setting up for a big thing. But George and I were integral in stopping that from happening when we saw it happening. We were trying to get people off the streets. We were trying to get people back to arm prior. Joe Jansen and I were trying to call people off the line. We also said that if you do get confronted, to turn your backs, drop down and link arms so that it looks like if they're going to beat you, they're beating peaceful protests. It worked. It played perfectly. But I'll tell you right now, negotiating with the city, one person. Telling people to come to Ottawa and keep coming to Ottawa, one person. This is where I'm saying, ladies and gentlemen, is this part of what we're trying to bring to you? We're not pointing fingers, but we're not stupid men either. We can see this stuff through the trees. We can see the forest through the trees.
We were there. We were there. Like
and we watched it happening and playing out, and we're like, no. And that's when I remember going in. Whose freaking idea was it to negotiate with the city of Ottawa? Because you just turned this into a bloody hostage situation. And now Mr. King is the liability. Mr. King's the bad man. Mr. King's the, he's the one that's flipping tables in conference rooms in the Ark because we got all of our hierarchy of controls and who's in charge of what. And he's like, what are you doing? Because these guys are setting up a situation room to orchestrate something something.
Mhm. So like, like me, I'm watching, I didn't have social media before the protests. I wasn't a social media guy, but I was watching people say, "Oh, Freedom Corp sold us out. Freedom Corp did this. Freedom." And I'm like, "Oh man." I'm like, Don't say that. None of that crap. Like, do you think like Joe Jansen or like uh Dale or me or anyone would come up with any of that stuff? No. Like it's a protest. You hold up a sign and you say we don't like this, right? It's just it's a protest. You just protest. That's it. There's no like, you give us this and we'll give you that, and we'll, you do this and we'll do that, and all that sort of thing. All anybody ever did, like Chris Garrah said at the very beginning, he went a week early to make sure none of that crap would even happen. He went a
Mhm.
week early to make friends with the police, to make friends with Ottawa, to make friends with everybody there, and say, we don't want any trouble, zero trouble, that we don't want any. And is that what happened? No. Like, and to say that Chris Garrett is the moron in all of this, you
Mm.
have to be you have to be in such a bad frame of mind to come up with crap like that. Like, please change something about yourself, please. Whoever, if you want to come clean, if you want to say like, I shouldn't have said those things, I shouldn't have done those things, people can change. People can change. People like everybody has a
I'm a firm
dark.
believer that if somebody shows you who they are, believe them.
Yeah, but also people can change. Like, there was been times in my life where I wasn't a cool dude, and and I'm like, I look back on that and I'm like, I was a jerk, right? And I had
Yeah.
to change. But I don't want to say that someone's a bad person. I can't. That doesn't jive with my belief system. I believe we're all bad. We all do bad stuff, but I think we have to have a come to Jesus moment in our life and go, you know, um I'm sorry. I'm sorry I said those things about you. I'm sorry I did those things to you. I'm sorry I told those lies. I'm sorry I went along with this stupid plan. It hurt people. It put people in jail. It did this, it did that. Some people aren't going to be able to do that, and that's too bad. But if you can, that's awesome. And I don't want to put people in a box. Like, I don't want to say this person, like, we talked about people tonight. I don't want to call them bad people. Okay. They're just like me. They're just like you. And they go through something or whatever, and they can come out the other side and change. They can come out the other side and say, yep, that sucked. I shouldn't have said that. I shouldn't have done that.
And that's all
That
I'm looking for myself is like, at least apologize to me. If you don't want to do it publicly, tell me you're sorry, in behind closed doors. Give me a call, pick up the phone, throwing me a couple breadcrumbs here and there doesn't make you a good person, doesn't make what you did justified. But at the same time, understand that we can admit that I think you were friggin' duped too, but now you're too deeply embedded into it that humility is a hard thing, that being humble is a hard thing, and you don't want to admit that you were wrong or that you did this to people. I can understand that. It's a tough thing, that it's a lost art in our society that people
I'm
can't.
sorry.
I'm sorry. Yeah, that's a tough
Two
one
hardest
too.
words in the English language to put together
Yeah.
is that, or just like, yeah, like, why like why discredit people? Why lie about them? Why try to crush them? Why try and destroy them? Why try and like strip things away from people they worked their whole lives for? Like why? For what? Because you think that somebody's gonna make you important? That
And that's just it.
somebody's
That's
gonna
what
introduce you.
I've got this in text message where they were like, Pat is getting too much attention and Pat is making us look bad. We need to pivot on Pat and make him out to be the bad guy. Like, are you kidding me, man? Like, that's the most. If I would have
Yeah,
known those
well,
conversations where I would have confronted them to their faces.
yeah, but
But
they
I
did
only
it to too
find
many
out.
people. They did it to too many people. They did it to you. They did it to Chris Garrett. They did it to me. They did it to, like, just like good people that did like nothing wrong ever. It's like what you heard a story that someone might have what, and then you go with that and put it all over the internet and stuff. It's like what? But just it's like they can change too. They're not hopeless. They can change too. They can hopefully before trumpet sound and glory be comes, they can say, yeah, sorry man, you know.
Well, we're coming up. We've done good on this one. We're coming up to the final 10 minutes. Give us some closing thoughts, Chad, and then I'm going to close it off. This is, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, this is our last episode with Chad. So if you can show him some appreciation in the chats, let him know like we didn't
Hey,
want to do
guys.
this, but we had to. And also, that being said, it's just this is our way of maybe in a sense healing within each other as well. That we're able to get this off our chest. It's done. It's said. We're done. We can move on and leave it to the rest. But at the same time, Chad, I'm up to if you've got
Yeah.
anything positive you want to say.
Yeah,
and all
yeah.
that
I
kind of
mean,
stuff.
all this said, I'm not a victim. I came home to my community and my community supported me. Um, I always my faith in my Lord and my faith in my church and my faith in my people always carried me through, and my family, my wife, especially like I never felt like when I gave my credit card to a gas station, and I'm not doing this as a plug for myself to brag about myself. I never felt scared for a second that I wouldn't be okay, because people showed up at my doorstep while I was in Ottawa, and when I got home, people helped me out. And I didn't go bankrupt. We were able to make it through because people are awesome. And people can be awesome. People can do bad stuff, sure, but people can do amazing things too. And that's what Chris Garrah was getting at the beginning of the video, which almost made him cry. It was his faith in humanity was restored because we all came together and we stood up to the government, and we did the Whoville thing and chanted and said, we are here, we are here, we are here. We did it, right? And it was good and it was positive, and it doesn't need to be left on a sour note. It's just I think unfortunately people have been duped into the dark side of all of this, which it's seek fame and fortune. Or I don't think that I'm just going to say their names. Chris Garrah and Tamara Leach are seeking fame and fortune, or sorry, Chris Barber, not Chris Garrah, Chris Barber. I don't think they are seeking fame and fortune, but they've been offered it, right? It's like, hey, we can introduce you to this inner circle. We can get you in with these important people. We can put you in front of millionaires, billionaires. Hey, we can, and unfortunately, they bought into it, and they said and did some things based on those offers that weren't good, and it hurt it hurt people. Like I'm gonna say like, men aren't supposed to talk like this, but did it hurt me? Sure it did. It hurt my feelings. It hurt my wife's feelings. It hurt my kids' feelings. Like, Tamara, you came to my house. Maybe you were being my friend for real. Maybe you were pretending to be my friend. I don't know. But that really hurt when you went along with things to discredit me, to hurt me, to tell lies about me, to try and ruin me. It's like, do you understand that people aren't going to be okay with that?
Right.
Like, hello, right? And Pat's not okay with that, and Chris Garrett's
I'm
not
not
okay
even
with that.
fucking close to being okay with it.
Yeah, so like, people have to understand we're not going to be okay with it. I have hope that people can change, and I have hope that people can do the right thing. And you have hope till you die, right? Everybody does. That's my
Absolutely.
belief.
Well, Chad, it's been great to have you on, and I'm glad you got this opportunity to put it out. So, with that, I think for me is I was used and I didn't ask for it. I didn't deserve it. I'm going through a lot of, I've done a lot of personal growth throughout all of this. So to take the positive out of the darkness, to grab onto that silver lining and hold on to it until the sky's clear. I've personally seen a change in myself that I can say is for the positive. At the same time, when you say, are you hurt? Did it hurt your feelings? I am extremely hurt. Not only am I extremely hurt, my family has been dragged through the ringer throughout all of this. I'm still in the courts, going through a lot of stuff that I never wanted to go through. I've got lawyer fees out the wazoo. I've got people coming at me left and right for money that I don't have. I've got lawyer fees, $26,000 still owed to Natasha. I've got ongoing reoccurring fees that I'm going through with this appeal. I feel like in a lot of aspects, my life has been ruined. I can't get a job, because as much as people say they don't, HR looks up your social medias and they see who you are and they're like, no, we don't want you in this position. We don't want you here in our office because you don't align with our beliefs. So a lot of the stuff that I've gone through, I get asked all the time, how are you still that happy person? You still have that big smile on your face. And through that smile, shed a lot of tears. I've experienced things that I don't wish anybody has to experience. The loneliness of being in isolation, the threats of having your head caved in a jail, being locked down in all of these situations, silence for years, not being able to talk, conditions that no Canadian has had in history. Nobody sees those things that I've gone through. At the same time, I'm not here looking for notoriety. I'm here asking for an apology from two people that I put into positions, that I put into where they were at, only to have them hijack everything and create my life for the last 5 years, 4.5 years, a living hell. At the same time, I wish, like you said, I hope that they can see through this. I hope they can see what we're saying and just come clean, apologize, let things slide and realize who they're in bed with. We know what's going on. I feel for my fellow countrymen in Alberta when I see this guy in behind the scenes and talking with everybody out there and acting like he's a big shot again and you see this, he's making decisions for Alberta Prosperity Project behind the scenes and railroading what
Well,
people
he's
are
getting
doing.
disavowed. He's getting disavowed. Hey, what goes around comes around. They wanted you disavowed. They wanted everyone to make statements. We are not associated with Pat King.
Yeah.
What's happening? What's good for the goose is good for the gander, I guess. People are doing disavowals of him now.
I see that, man. I see that. Well,
That's
thanks
funny
again,
how
Chad.
life works.
That's it, buddy. We're gonna still talk. We'll still bring this out, but we still got to go through the lawsuit, guys. So we still got the lawsuit that I haven't even paid a lawyer for. Like,
yeah,
fuck.
it's you know what? I don't even think about that thing. It doesn't even cross my mind.
But it does me.
And until I have to respond to a motion, until I have to put something on paper and file it with the courts or whatever, which isn't very often, I barely ever think about it. But I have been lately. And I'll leave you with this. The thing I want people to know is this: the Give Send Go. As soon as I activated the Canadian Stripe account for the Give Send Go, hours later, Stripe emailed me back and said, sorry, we're closing down your Stripe account. But then they didn't close it down, and they allowed almost $3 million of donations to come in, and they took over $300,000 in fees from it. So when they said that it was shut down, they didn't shut it down and allowed all that money to come in, and that's the money that's frozen right now in escrow that the lawyers that are suing us want to take. So I'm working on something to say, That money shouldn't have even been there in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
Stripe should have shut. They said they were shutting it down. Why did they allow 3 million to come in when they said they were shutting it down? And now it got scooped. The donors and by the way, the icing on the top here is they're suing the donors.
Yeah.
So they want to take the donors' donation and they want even more from the donors. They're suing the donors. They're trying to double dip. So the money shouldn't have been in their first place. They want to take the donations and they want to sue the donors on top of their donations. It's like, no. This is too far, and I'm working on something to make that all crumble.
But you know also that Stripe made a profit off of that, and they should also have their profits that they got in escrow.
Why did they get to keep that? They don't get to keep that. That's not that wasn't a part of the restraining order. That wasn't a part of the dissolution of the Mariva injunction. They should have not profited from that.
And
But anyways, I'm working on that, and hopefully it works out. Or maybe this class action lawsuit will just fall apart because it's so weird.
Right? I hope so. Please, I hope so. I hope so. Okay,
Yeah.
buddy. We're going to shut her down. We're on our 1 minute.
All right. Okay. See ya.
Okay. Thanks, Chad. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the middle segment of episode number 2. This is the end of episode 2 for you guys. I want you to know that episode number 3, we're just trying to get everybody together at times that we can all be together. But episode 3 is going to be a meeting of all of the originals, of everybody who was there for the right reasons. And for anybody who's out there, Chris and Tamara, you were part of the originals. You're welcome to come and sit on the panel with us and have a conversation with all of us around a round table. I know you can't leave your homes, and we can have you guys on this platform here, so we can share everybody's stories out and give everybody a good understanding of how did everybody get their start inside what was now known as the history of Canada of 2022. You got to understand some of the things that I'm putting together, ladies and gentlemen, is one, we need to clear the air for the public of what really happened in behind the scenes in the breakdown. So that is what I'm hopefully achieving in these last 2 episodes that we've done. I want to break down for everybody how things fell apart so that you know, and what you can look forward to if you decide you're going to try and do something like this in the near future. Understand, these people get involved, they take the notoriety, they act like they're superstars, and they put a lot of money, or take a lot of money. It's all up to your own perspective on how you want to say that. At the same time, just know that for everybody out there, the live for the originals might be in a month because I have things that I'm doing. I'm leaving for Vancouver on the 20th of I'm leaving on Vancouver on the 20th to speak at We Unify in Victoria. So for anybody who is in the Victoria area and you want to come and help help that out and come listen to me talk, myself, Dr. Hoff, and Mr. Grath are going to be there. We're going to be doing a panel of speakers. So if you want to come and take part in that. Also, I know I fucking hate doing this, but once again, Pat King Appeal Fund at gmail.com. I've just got the last receipts from the lawyer. I'll be posting those up on my social medias here in a little bit. But I'm looking at May the 11th. I will be in Toronto for my first appearance for the appeal. And I'm not looking forward to this. At the same time, there's a lot of stuff going on. So if you care to, Pat King Appeal Fund at gmail.com. Once again, it doesn't go to me. This all goes to Brian Duty, who's my lawyer. Brian is very meticulous on the receipts. In fact, I just got one yesterday, so I'll be posting that to socials. all the work that he's doing as well. Fundraising events that are coming up in the future, I'll be posting those, so stay tuned to my page as well for anything that has to do with fundraising. And if you guys are interested and you have a group and you want me to come and speak at your events, let me know. I'll be happy to come if it's feasible. I'll come and speak at your events to help you guys get some clarity on a lot of things. And we do have things in the work in the background, so anybody else who's looking to find out what's going on, don't lose hope. We are still here. We are still working hard with everything and with everybody. We're not gone. We're all still here. But I want to bring you into just a moment that we all shared for everybody out there. Thanks, ladies and gentlemen.
We used to run wide open, living life without fear. Now really don't know how we ever got here, We let the little things pile up, we fence ourselves in. Sometimes you gotta tear it all down, start over again. Put the kid in drive, send your mind on down the road, past everything you know, turn your wheels and go just right. Put some blacktop in front of you, let those white lines run on you, heading for somewhere, leaving something behind, just to ride. We could burn across the desert, see those Vegas lights, take a drive down Main Street. People do it all the time. People do it all the time. Cruise up to the mountains, get close to the stars. If you find yourself unhappy where you are, just get in your car and drive. Send your mind on down the road, past everything you know, turn your wheels and go just to ride. Put some blacktop in front of you, let those white lines run under you, heading for somewhere, leaving something behind, just to ride. It don't matter at all, just to ride. It don't matter at all, just to ride. It don't matter at all, just